Africans said Black Americans are acting as if they are the main character. Some of these immigrants, some of these African immigrants especially, I don't know their what are Black Americans supposed to be acting as? Not the main character. They should be acting as if they are not needed. They should be acting as immigrants. There's certain people are acting that people have this ego and people are acting as if they're the main characters. Of course, you should be able to realize that Black Americans are the main characters. Honestly, I'm an African person, but I cannot support evil, please. To even top it up and add it and spice it up that you are in America. Then you now still have the right as an African immigrant, the audacity, the effrontery, the temerity. So now say Black Americans are acting as if they are. So who are they? Are they the minus character? They should be acting as if they are shy. They should be acting as if they don't deserve where they are. See, I've said this and I will say it again. As an immigrant, if you think that the way probably Black Americans are acting is not okay for you, you are disgusted by it, come back. Come back to your country. Yeah. But anyways, I'll leave you guys to watch this video because I have other clips that other people said other things that I don't even know where it's actually coming from. Hey, these African immigrants, they will not kill me. But like, comment, and share, and credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And with that being said, let's dive right into this juicy part and I'll be back with commentaries. Let's go watch, guys.
Brown American or Black American, there seems to be like this ego that makes you think that you are the main character wherever you go. Therefore, when you go to places in Africa, you get surprised when you're treated like just another tourist. I've heard people saying stuff like, they only cared about my dollars. You've gone there expecting a kinship and connection with people whose history diverges from your history.
I thought this was interesting because I made a few videos about different ideologies around Blackness from some of the Black people that I meet, particularly in Europe, who are from the continent. And a lot of people confuse my commentary to think that I am expecting them to have the same ideologies and expectations regarding Blackness and connectivity as a Black American, which I don't. But I thought that it's interesting because a lot of Black Americans really romanticize like Africa and the idea of going home. And this is why.
Come with me to Oyotunji village. Now, this is a real live African village located in Seabrook, South Carolina. That's Gullah Geechee country. I'm not sure how many acres it is, but massive. It was founded in the 70s with the idea of bringing African Americans back to their culture, which is African spirituality.
So there is still, and has been for a really long time, different versions of connecting with Africa in the United States for a lot of Black Americans. Now, out in South Carolina, there is the Gullah Geechees, I can't say that word properly, who say that they can connect themselves directly back to where they came from in Africa, where their ancestors came from in Africa. And there's a variety of different versions of this, from like, using kente cloths to connecting with Kwanzaa, all of these things that a lot of Black Americans feel like should give them some sort of connectivity to Africa. And I think partially because so many Black Americans still don't feel like America's home, like, even though I would say it should be by now. Stuff like this, like that village that's calling itself a real live African village in South Carolina in America, is part of the reason why. They think that if they actually go to Africa, they will find home and kinship amongst African people. And just living in Europe amongst African people, because even in white dominated countries, a lot of Africans do not feel a kinship to other Black people just because they see you walking down the street. And I think I had traveled enough before moving to Europe to know that, but it's still in me to smile or nod at Black people. And a lot of times people just stare at me like I stole their place in the visa line. But what I will say I have noticed is that when someone thinks that you look like somebody, you know, in their country, then they might talk to you. Then they might seem a little friendlier and say hello and actually ask you something. But Lord, the disappointment on their face when you tell them you're American, like they was wasted their time chatting you up. But I think because so many Black Americans did not evolve, they weren't able to evolve their African culture into what, you know, this connectivity with American stuff, because it was stripped from them, and they don't know where to go because everything that was pushed upon them was basically white supremacy. And mind you, the same thing has happened in Africa. A lot of things, their religion, all of these things have been changed because of colonization. But while Black Americans have created some of the most amazing culture, there are still a lot of people who will say there's a real live African village in South Carolina. That is not an African village because it's literally not in Africa. And I think for a lot of Black Americans, while our history does diverge, a lot of the sources of why and what has happened not only to Black Americans in America, but what happens to Africans in Africa, Black Africans in Africa, have one source. And Black Americans often see that source as something that could be uniting, but Africans don't. And maybe because they don't see palm-colored people regularly and see the oppression that palm-colored people are doing more globally to them, they still have a different view of palm-colored people, generally speaking. And while I don't think most Black Americans are necessarily saying we're connected just because we're Black, we're connected because the source of where our oppression has come from for millennia is the same.
You thought the ancestors survived chains just for us to get deleted by code? Nah, absolutely not. Because oppression never disappears. It updates. Slave patrols became police. Police became policies. Policies became data. And now data became algorithms. Same power, new software. And before anybody screams conspiracy, this isn't hidden. It's published. The World Economic Forum openly talks about redesigning society through digital identity, AI governance, and data-driven systems by 2030. The United Nations calls it the 2030 Agenda. Goals, metrics, timelines, all signed off by governments and corporations. Different branding, same destination. And on the US side, you've got Project 2025, a written playbook for restructuring federal power, civil service, and regulatory control. This isn't a mystery. Power tells you what it's about to do. The problem is, most people aren't listening. Now let's talk about the costs, because this is already live. Facial recognition? According to MIT Media Lab research, these systems misidentify Black faces at dramatically higher rates than white ones, especially Black women. That's not a glitch. That's biased training data deployed at scale. Predictive policing? ProPublica exposed years ago that risk assessment algorithms label Black defendants as higher risk even when they don't reoffend, while white defendants get the benefit of the doubt. So the machine learns racism, then calls it math. Redlining didn't die, it went digital. AI systems now help decide who gets mortgages, insurance, jobs, and credit. And when those models are trained on decades of racist housing and labor data, the future they predict looks exactly like the past. Healthcare AI? A major study published in Science showed an algorithm used by hospitals systematically underestimated Black patients' medical needs because it used healthcare spending as a proxy for health. And guess who historically gets less care? Exactly. That's not innovation. That's medical neglect automated. And then there's identity. AI genealogy tools scrape colonial archives, census misclassifications, and incomplete records. Then turn around and tell Black Americans we're recent, unclear, or interchangeable with anyone melanated worldwide. If they can't erase your lineage outright, they'll statistically blur it. Now here's where people get it twisted. They see all this and say we should reject AI. No, that's like refusing to read because the plantation owner learned how first. The move isn't fear, the move is mastery. Because AI is also the most powerful ancestral tool we've ever touched. It can digitize church records, cross-verify freedmen documents, reconstruct family trees that were burned, buried, or deliberately ignored, preserve oral histories before the elders transition. AI can become an ancestral archive that doesn't die, doesn't forget, and doesn't need permission to exist. It can protect reparations claims by verifying lineage instead of vibes. It can flag misinformation faster than lies can spread. It can store truth when institutions try to memory hole it, but only if we're the ones using it. Because here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. If you're not learning AI right now, not next year, not once the dust settles right now, you're already behind. Not morally, strategically. Executive orders are already shaping AI use. Federal agencies are already deploying it. States are already passing laws around it. This train is moving. So let me end where I started. Because the end is always the beginning. Our ancestors didn't survive chains, lynching, redlining, bombed neighborhoods, and stolen land just for us to get erased by autocomplete. We are not getting deleted. We're getting documented. And everything after this is about how we make damn sure of it.
I see a lot of black Americans come out to say, oh, we are not Africans. Initially, it was a lady saying, oh, we black Americans, we don't like African foods. African foods are not nice. We rather have Jamaican foods, this and that, and and all of that. And I'm like, why all this? Did anybody try to force African food down your throat? It makes no sense. And then talking about foods, I mean, we African, we don't eat processed foods. We buy foods that just came out of the ground or have just been harvested, and then we prepare them. We don't, like, you get the yam, you peel the yam from the beginning, the scratch, you wash, you cut, you chop, and then you cook. Same thing goes to gari. Gari goes through its own processes. Cassava goes through the process, and then we make it. Same goes to rice and all of that. Our soup we get from pancanial. Pancanial, you bring it down from the tree. They have a pancanial tree. You bring that pancanial down, and then you extract the red oil from it. That's what we use to make our soup. Or you talking about the leaves we put in the soup, and then the meat. We buy fresh meats from the market. So I don't really know why somebody will come and be speaking ill about African foods. Our foods are natural and healthy. So that's basically that for the food aspect. And then what really drove me nuts was initially I saw one guy, he came out with we all know about Red Indians and how they were the first in America and all of that. And then I saw a black American come on social media, on TikTok, put on the thing those Red Indians usually put on their head. I'm like, yeah, we black Americans, we are from Tamarian. I don't even know what that is. And then when they try to back these things up with facts that they have, it makes no sense. You see paintings of people that looks like Red Indians. Of course, this is Red Indians. And then they say, yes, these are our forefathers. We are not from Africa. The thing is, nobody's forcing you to come from Africa. I don't know where this whole shenanigan is coming from. Because I'm an African, an immigrant to another country. I know how we Africans, we thrive as immigrants. We try to catch up with the society. We try to meet up with the demands of wherever we are. And then when we get there, we try to not let our culture die. We try to make our food, hold festivals and all of that to, keep our culture alive. This is not like a show off or trying to put down your tradition and all of that, but it's more like promoting our culture because it is unique to us. You see us doing these things, and I don't know why the hate on Africans, basically. It makes no sense to me. And then I saw someone else come and say, oh, we the black Americans, we are from Mexico. And then he brought up some pictures of some red-looking people, and then this is our forefathers. We are this. I mean, you sound funny to me. The reason why we Africans even think a lot of you are more of us is because we know about the slave trade. Of course, it's not a good thing. We are not proud that, yes, some of the Americans got sold by some of the, like, I don't know if it's Americans because you guys said you're not Africans, so sorry to say that, but some people got sold by some people, and we are not proud of it. And then on the long run, we've seen lots of movies about American movies of showing how they got moved from Africa down to America and all of that. This is what we see in movies. And then nobody's coming. Are you trying to push this energy to the people who produce those movies? Don't come on social media to try to push it on us. You know, it's giving some kind of weird vibes. You guys sound weird lately. You need to just take your time, watch the videos you make, trying to lay claims of being from here and there and all of that. You're claiming to be Mexican. You're claiming to be Red Indians. Listen to yourself. How will these people actually look at you? You know, so I was not going to talk about this, but then it's just becoming something else. You guys sound like you're on some new kind of dope shit. You know, when I see you guys doing these things, I'm like, what's going on? What are they smoking on? You know? So you need to chill. Nobody is forcing you to be African. We love ourselves. When you see an African, you see how we carry ourselves as African. We don't come and say, oh, I'm American. No, we tell you pop and plain that we are Africans. We do our African stuff. We do our African dish. We strive. We hustle. We make money. We invest. And then you see our business. And I don't see any reason why it's now becoming a problem to you. So that's basically my problem with. I was never going to talk about this, but then you all are embarrassing yourselves with the things you say. That's just it.
So I keep seeing up and down my timeline Caribbean people and Africans saying that black people is not American. It's just bizarre. We need to claim our African roots. We need to go back home, or they all black and they saying that, well, we can say we black American too. I seen this Ethiopian girl saying, oh, we don't know where we came from and we African and we West African. They can't grasp that we're not immigrants. I think that's what it all boils down to. They want us to be like them. Like, they can't conceptualize the fact that even if we want to go by the indoctrinated version of history, we've been here for like 500 years. We're not first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh generation from a West Africa. A lot of us, first of all, were already here. They love to say, oh, you're not indigenous. You're not this. It doesn't matter. I don't know why everybody's glazing us and gives a damn about what we claim. But they think we're immigrants. That's what is given to me. And also, it's an ego thing because they want to be able to say that we came from them. They don't want, they can't, it fuels them. It validates them in a different type of way. It makes them feel superior. So for us to be now saying, no, we're just American. We have our own culture. Soul food is Black American. We have the way that we dress, our vernacular. We've invented a whole bunch of shit. And we're going to get into some of our inventions because I was just reading up on one of the things that we invented was EMS, paramedics, and the ambulance system. Black men in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania invented the ambulance system. They don't teach us about shit. They just make it seem like all we do is dribble balls and fucking sing like Beyonce. We excel at that too. But we've literally created this whole fucking system. We are a part of the very fabric of this country. We're not immigrants. I am a melanin-rich American. I'm American. You want to call me Black? I'm Black American. You want to say we foundational? Well, we got to get on one accord of how we identifying ourselves because they really keep trying to like other us. And it's getting to be fucking bizarre. It's like they're trying to co-opt our lived experience and say that they're us and we are them. When they've always been very clear cut about I'm Jamaican, I'm from Barbados, I'm Trinidadian, I'm Nigerian. Now all of a sudden in 2025, we all want, I don't know what's going on. It's bizarre. Something is going on. But this is no love lost. I'm not saying that I have any animosity. I just keep seeing you all having these conversations about Black Americans, and I'm just trying to figure out what is this about. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. What do y'all think about this? Black Americans, what y'all think about this? Spread love is the Brooklyn way.
The truth is, to be honest, I don't really know. I don't really know why a Black American should do something and it will piss me off so much as an African person. I don't know. And I started seeing all of this plenty disunity when Black Americans started saying that, oh, do not identify us as African Americans. Now we want to be identified as foundational Black Americans. So now you get to see every single person can open up their camera, say one or two things without even considering where the pains of these people are coming from. And I hope you guys heard what Chatgpt said, right? If you did not hear, go back and play it again. Come in. Let me give you my little research that I make, because I just want to really know why immigrants are always not happy with Black Americans. I already know that one of the most key thing is this wrong idolizing of white folks. But anyways, let's just listen to this and then I'll have what to say, okay? I want us to listen.
Short answer, they aren't always unhappy, but tensions do exist, and they come from history, migration, identity, and misunderstandings on both sides, not because one group is inherently against the other. Here's a clear, balanced explanation. Number one, different histories, different identities. Although both groups are racially labeled Black in the US, their histories are very different. African immigrants often arrive voluntarily. Education, work, family, maintain strong ties to national identity, Nigerian, Ghanaian, Ethiopian, etc. Did not grow up under US racial segregation or Jim Crow Black Americans, ADOS African Americans. Descendants of enslaved Africans. Identity shaped by slavery, segregation, and civil rights struggles. Have a shared cultural history inside the US. Because of this, African immigrants may not immediately understand the deep historical trauma of Black Americans. Black Americans may feel African immigrants don't fully respect or acknowledge that struggle. 2. Stereotypes go both ways. Some African immigrants may believe Black Americans don't value education. They complain instead of working hard. Slavery was long ago. These ideas often come from Western media stereotypes, colonial era narratives, wanting to distance themselves from racism when they arrive. Some Black Americans may believe Africans think they're better than us. They look down on our culture. They benefit from our civil rights struggles, but criticize us. Both sides feel judged. 3. Immigrant survival strategy. Many African immigrants are taught, explicitly or implicitly, open quote, if you work hard and avoid trouble, racism won't affect you as much. Close quote. This can lead to blaming Black Americans for systemic problems, minimizing racism in the US, trying to separate themselves from Black American identity. Over time, many immigrants realize this belief is incomplete, especially after experiencing racism themselves. 4. Competition and proximity. Tension increases because both groups often live in the same neighborhoods, compete for similar jobs and resources, are grouped together racially by society despite cultural differences. This creates friction, not unity, unless there's deliberate effort. 5. Pain around ancestry and loss. There's also an unspoken emotional layer. Black Americans may feel abandoned or judged by Africans. Africans may feel unfairly blamed for the slave trade. Both groups carry historical pain they didn't personally create. That pain often comes out as defensiveness or resentment. Number 6. Important reality check. Many African immigrants and Black Americans get along very well. Younger generations are often bridging the gap. Solidarity grows when there is shared community, honest conversation, mutual respect. Conflict is learned, not natural. Bottom line, the tension exists because race was imposed on both groups in different ways. The US racial system benefits from division. Misunderstanding is easier than empathy. When people learn each other's history, the hostility usually fades.
So this is why we should even be loving each other more. Because if you listen to this, at the end of the day, these people are even happy that we are having misunderstanding. Why will I carry a camera for crying out loud? And the only people I want to attack are people that look like me. The only people I want to attack are people that I think that they are lazy. How strong do you think are the other race? How strong do you think the other race can literally stand for you? How strong do you think you can be able to defeat the other race all by yourself? Let me know what you think. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches I have in today's episode. If you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, like this video, drop me your comment, and lastly, do not forget to share for every other person to get this good news. And yes, thank you so much for staying stick and hook with me to the end of this video. And with that being said, with no further ado, like I always say in my videos, I'm going to say bye and I'll see you guys in my next one. I don't know how else I'll talk to these African people for them to learn to do better. Bye, guys. Short of voice.